Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After receiving a boilerplate response on this topic, the Safe Third Country Agreement last night, that failed to even address the substance of the issue before us, I thought that I would make it easier today. Experts at the Standing Committee for Citizenship and Immigration have been clear for a year. Sadhu Mohammed, a refugee who lost all his fingers crossing irregularly into Manitoba in order to have his asylum claim heard, stated, and I quote, "The Safe Third Country Agreement, that's what causes a lot of damage to most refugees and immigrants, so we would like it to be suspended." Alex Nariv of Amnesty International said, quote, "From a human rights perspective, it is vital that the agreement be suspended." Anne Wogler from Matthew House said, quote, "For half of my career, there was no Safe Third Country Agreement, and I would have to say that things worked so much more smoothly." Professor Jamie Liu, University of Ottawa, recommended, quote, "First, suspend the Safe Third Country Agreement." Peter Edelman, immigration and refugee lawyer, said, quote, "I think it's worthwhile to suspend the agreement." The Honourable Alan Rock, now with the World Refugee Council, stated, quote, "I think that agreements should be suspended and that we should no longer regard the United States as safe for those purposes." Dr. Patty Tamara Leonard said, quote, "We can save lives and fingers by suspending it quickly." Jin Chan, Chinese and Southeast Asian Legal Clinic, said, quote, "We call on Canada to rescind or suspend the Safe Third Country Agreement with the U.S. Professor Audrey McLaughlin, quoting a SIM 2002 report outlining conditions present today, which the committee believed would justify suspending or terminating the agreement, recommended, quote, "I would just encourage this committee to consider heeding the recommendations of its predecessors." Professor Anne Perkey, St. Jerome's University, said, quote, "As a leader, Canada should reaffirm its commitment to the international legal regime that not only ensures and protects the rights of refugees, but ensures and protects the rights of all human beings. This includes rethinking the Safe Third Country Agreement." Dr. Megan Bradley, McGill University, said, quote, "The Safe Third Country Agreement should be suspended." Doug Saunders, international affairs writer, Globe and Mail, pointed out, quote, "The Safe Third Country Agreement is what is causing irregular crossings between entry points on the Canada-US border. There is no other factor. If people could present themselves at a legal crossing point for an asylum claim, they would do so." Experts in the public have been just clear about this issue. It is time for the government to heed their advice.
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to respond to the question from the member for Vancouver East. As the honourable member is aware, the Safe Third Country Agreement was established with the United States in 2004. The objectives of the agreement are to enhance the orderly handling of refugee claims, strengthen public confidence in the integrity of our refugee systems, reduce abuse, and share responsibility for providing protection to those in need. The key principle of the agreement is that people must claim asylum in the first safe country in which they arrive. Those with a legitimate need for protection have a right to make an asylum claim. That's why it's important to ensure that we are meeting our international obligations regarding refugees and that our processes are efficient. To meet requirements in the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, Canada continually reviews all countries designated as safe third countries. Mr. Speaker, we take our responsibility to monitor the U.S. as a safe third country seriously. The Minister of Border Security and Organized Crime Reduction sent a letter to the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security to request that we make further progress on this issue as soon as possible. Canada has analyzed recent developments in the United States, including the executive orders related to immigration and refugee matters. And we consider the United States a safe country for asylum claimants to go to seek protection. The UNHCR shares this view. Therefore, the STCA remains an important agreement with the U.S. to ensure the orderly handling of asylum claims. That being said, we continue to raise the issue of the STCA in our meetings with U.S. officials, and we look forward to discussing options to improve this agreement. Mr. Speaker, through all the government's actions to help deter irregular migration, our aim is to balance two objectives. Canada must remain a safe place for those who genuinely need protection. But we must also safeguard the integrity of our immigration system and the safety of our citizens. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For Vancouver East.
Every time the Trump administration blatantly disregards international refugee and human rights law, this government is publicly supporting it by continuing to say that they are a safe country for asylum seekers. The Honourable Lloyd Axworthy, now with the World Refugee Council, was quoted in saying, "If the United States return to a place where refugees can get a fair hearing, then fine. But right now, they're engaged in a total, complete reneging on all fundamental commitments of refugee law and treaties and agreements and should not be part of it." The former Minister of Immigration, Honourable Chris Alexander, said, "I've been calling for the Safe Third Country Agreement to be suspended for over a year. Current U.S. policies and practices for refugees and asylum seekers violate international humanitarian law. Suspend the Safe Third Country Agreement." Even conservative former Minister of Immigration is calling for that. When will this government act?
L'honorable secrétaire.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The key principle of the Safe Third Country Agreement, or STCA, is that people must claim asylum in the first safe country in which they arrive. Canada has analyzed recent developments in the U.S., including the executive orders related to immigration and refugee matters, and we consider the United States a safe country for asylum claimants to go to seek protection. That being said, we continue to raise the issue of the STCA in our meetings with U.S. officials, and we look forward to discussing options to improve this agreement. Canada must remain a safe place for those who genuinely need protection, but we must also safeguard the integrity of our immigration system and the safety of our citizens. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for